Hey, Shalom, Kahallah, Yahweh Shai Bashim Hakodash, the ones that apostles of great millstone. Shalom to you, brothers in the highways and byways, doing the work sincerely and faithfully, and continually fighting the good fight of faith. Lord willing, we're finding that number to be delivered. All right. So I was thinking back on, an executive order that Joe Biden had signed into law, and with that executive order, and I'll pull it up. I'll pull up the order itself. With that executive order, it was concerning the military draft, which is going to be another major part of prophecy concerning this third world war. Okay? America's going to have to implement that draft in order to get sufficient amount of soldiers to fight this war, or rather to lose this war. Okay? But you're not going to have, like you did 2008, an influx of, young men and women running to recruitment centers because they feel that America was under attack, or they feel that, they have to fulfill their patriotic duty. All right, that first go around you fell for it. The second go around, you're gonna have to be forced into it. All right. Now this is wh.gov, and it says fact sheet. Now this is from January 21st, 2021 is actually when Joe Biden signed this into law. All right. It says President Biden signs executive order enabling all qualified Americans to serve their country in uniform. All right. It says enabling all qualified Americans. All right. So it's not going to be if you choose to sign up for the armed forces. It's going to be you ain't got no choice. You going to war. All right. So read a little bit of this article. It says President Biden signed today an executive order that sets the policy that all Americans who are qualified to serve in armed forces of the United States should be able to serve. And of course they're going to try to, twist it and flip it to make it seem like you have an option. When America's on the brink of being destroyed and the time is short, they're going to force any and all, as they say, American who's eligible to fight the war. Okay? But it's going to get very interesting as well. So we'll keep reading for a little bit. It says, all Americans who are qualified to serve the armed forces of the United States should be able to serve. It says the all-volunteer force thrives when it's composed of diverse Americans who can meet the rigorous standards for military service, and is inclusive military strengths are and an inclusive military strengthens our nation's security. All right, and here they go with this inclusive. President Biden believes that gender identity should not be a bar to military service, and that America's strength is found in diversity. Okay, so now they're widening the bar. Okay, gender identity. So if you're a transgender, they're gonna suck you into that war. They're gonna suck you into that draft. And again, they're making it seem like it's just all voluntary, but they know, and we know, and the scriptures tell you that their bridegrooms are gonna have no helpers. Slakia. Slakia. Okay. So now it's just getting to the point where 2001, Joe Biden signed it into law. This is 2024, and how much more has happened since 2001? How many more nations have now been awakened to the fact that there's a World War at their door? All right. And it says, It says, this questions how to enable the qualified Americans to serve in the military is easily answered by recognizing our core values. America is strong at home and around the world when it is inclusive. The military is no exception, allowing all qualified Americans to serve their country in uniform is better for military and better for the country because an inclusive force is a more effective force. Simply put, it is the right it is the right thing to do, and it is our national interest. Is in our natural interest, all right? So they're not gonna hold back. They're gonna pick any and everybody, and I believe the ages may be from 18 to 41. Okay? So years past, you was able to flee to Mexico to avoid the draft, or flee to Canada to avoid the draft. Now there's a small alliance between these countries. You know, and back in 2000, maybe 2009, 2010, it was also known as the North American Union. All right? And one of the sole purposes of that as well is to make sure that nobody is going to be able to flee out of the midst of this place. They're going to get you one way or another. And then, because things are getting so bad in Babylon, you're going to have individuals who was in the military, who may have retired from the military, re-enlisting because they need a paycheck. Well, you're going to pay all right. You're going to pay with your life. You ain't coming home this time around. 2nd Ezra chapter 16, jumping down to, let me see. Where should we start? I mean, this whole chapter is good. Let's jump down a little bit further. Let's jump down. I'll start at 33, and we'll get right to the point. It says, the virgins shall mourn having no bridegrooms. The women shall mourn having no husbands. Their daughters shall mourn having no helpers. What is this talking about? When this war really pops off and they start sending you troops all over the world to different countries to fight, all right, you ain't coming back home. They are not coming back home. And this is why the scriptures are speaking this way. The virgins shall mourn having no helpers, meaning what? These women aren't going to be able to have a family. Their husbands are going to be destroyed and killed. All right? There's not going to be anybody there to, carry them over the threshold when they get married. Okay? Continuing on. It says, verse 34, in the wars shall their bridegrooms be destroyed. Okay? This is what's going to happen. Joe Biden knows it. These other nations know it. The only ones who don't know it are these proud Americans, because they believe that whenever they go to war, they come out victorious. That's that pride that has been set in them. That's that proudness. Isn't that one of the logos? The few, the proud. Okay? So this is where it's all coming down to. As the scriptures are talking about, these men are going to get sent over to this war. They're going to go fight this war. And they're going to die in this war. Now, these are things we can't forget about. All right? Because this is also another facet of Babylon being taken, man. When it speaks about these men going over to fight this war, a lot of those small nations over there that don't have that nuclear capability, they're gonna kill these men on the ground, man. It's gonna be an all-out war. And nobody coming to get you. You've been watching too many movies, man. You see your man Mark Wahlberg in Lone Survivor. He goes out and fights 101 Taliban, 200,000 Taliban, sliding down cliffs and jumping off rocks and mountains. And what happens? Gets to the village, they give him a little aid, and here comes the choppers coming to get him out of there. Okay? This ain't gonna be that kind of story, my man. It ain't gonna be that kind of ending. Your body's gonna die over there and rot over there. Animals and bugs and maggots are gonna feed on you over there. All right? Let me go with this quick video.
In northern Syria, Russian troops have taken command of a U.S. airbase. And as Charlie D'Agata reports, the Russians did it without firing a shot.
Russian state media showed commandos staging what looked like a military invasion. The Russians are playing up the takeover of the Kobani airfield as a victory. The former U.S. airbase that served as a main logistical hub for America's fight against ISIS, now with a Russian flag flying over it. The Russians moved in just a day after U.S. forces moved out, leaving behind barracks, beds, abandoned medical supplies, and the skeleton of a gym weights removed to render it useless. The same can't be said of the runway, however, an American-made landing strip now under Russian management. The repositioning of U.S. troops mean their footprint has been reduced to patrolling oil fields while partnering with America's Kurdish allies on the ground. Even top Kurdish commander Muslim Kobani lamented that the sudden U.S. retreat left him no choice but to turn to the Russians. We had an understanding with Russia to avoid Turkish attacks in this region, he said. The vacuum Americans left behind, we had to fill with the Russians. An imperfect solution to a desperate situation, giving the Russians the upper hand on the ground. Charlie D'Agata, CBS News in northeast Syria.
You see that? You see that? Esau fled, leaving these cats stranded. And this is what, the American military is about. Running and hiding. They're no longer that big superpower. Fleeing out of different locations. Now here you are, you're about to enter into a third world war, and you're gonna give up some major real estate, a land strip, an airstrip. And they left in haste, clearly, because it was gonna get taken one way or another. So they decided to try to preserve their lives by fleeing out of there. And now the Russian flag is sitting there. All right? This is coming into some very pivotal and crucial times right now. And these kind of bases are essential to military movement. Bringing in supplies, bringing in weapons, and so on and so forth. But that stronghold has now been given up. And what it say? Now the Americans are reduced to watching oil fields, oil rigs. And this is how we know, man. It's gonna come to a dismal end for the American troops over there. All right. From there, Joel 3:9 says, "Proclaim ye this among the Gentiles: prepare war, wake up the mighty men. Let all the men of war draw near. Let them come up." All right. So now this is the time we're living in, a time of war. People preparing themselves, people getting ready. All right. And again, the United States draft is going to be essential for this military campaign. Kiss your mother, kiss your father, kiss your little siblings, kiss your children goodbye. Because this is going to be the war that's going to end all wars. And on top of that, once you go over to them foreign lands over there, there's going to be no place for you to return. This place is going to be burnt with fire. You ain't going to be able to land a plane over here. That's it. There's going to be no shores and no docks for a big boat or a ship to come, dock into, let the soldiers off. This is it, man. So you some of you troops very well may go overseas to fight this war, and you may be in a position to, the Lord may preserve your life a little bit, only for you to realize and come to the conclusion that America has been destroyed. Then what are you going to do? You're going to think about your wife. You're going to think about your kids. You're going to think about your family. So much so, you're probably going to think it's a propaganda campaign. That's what you're definitely going to believe. No, not America. America can't be destroyed. We was just there, 72 hours ago. All right. So that's going to be the conclusion. That's going to be the conclusion for America. This is Matthew 24, and I'm going to go to 7. Better yet, I'll go to 5. It says, "For many shall come in my name, saying, I am the Christ." I'm going to read it verbatim. "I am the Christ, and shall deceive many. And ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars." Now, what does that spark? When you start to hear certain rumors, you still start to prepare yourself. And America's going to start preparing themselves. For what? For this war. All right? We don't know what it is, but there's going to be something the Lord's going to spark off. That's going to drive you people to your feet, man. You can't sit there and hear rumors of wars and not prepare yourself. Right? And these nations are preparing themselves. And I got a feeling, man. I have a feeling that these other nations are far more prepared to go into battle than America is. All right? It says, "And ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that ye be not troubled. For all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet." Okay? So we know that all these things are going to come to pass. We're going to hear more rumors of wars. All right? And there may be a couple hot spots concerning these wars. All right? But the end all be all is when them thermonuclear missiles start to get launched from one end of the earth into the other. There's not going to be no more rumors. There's not going to be no more strongholds. There's not going to be no more, strategic plans. Let's go get our Marines out of there. Let's go get our Navy SEALs from over there. It's going to be over. That's a wrap. All right? And your military leaders, they're not going to give two damns about you. Okay? Verse 7. "For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famine, and pestilence, and earthquakes in diverse places. All these are the beginning of sorrows." All right? So those sorrows are going to start to multiply, even as the evils upon the earth are going to multiply. There's going to be a massive shock and awe when these things start to happen. As it is written, the kings of the earth and all that do merchants in commerce with America are going to be in shock to see the smoke of her burning. Shit, even some of you troops that are still going to be on the boots on the ground over there, you're going to look up and see the smoke and the burning of this place, Babylon. You're going to see the smoke, man. I believe the Lord is going to preserve a lot of you to see the destruction of America. To only know there's no place like home. There's going to be no place called home again. All right? All right, so with that, Lord willing, bring out some more information. We got, these rumors of wars. We got this draft in the waiting in the wings. We got these stores, these department stores. They're starting to put a lot of restrictions on certain things you can buy. They're starting to lock up shelves and cabinets where you're going to have an ID to get into the joints until they implement the RFI, man. So a lot is happening. A lot is going down. A lot of things that you're not hearing about in the mainstream media or on a lot of these, liberal social media platforms. you know? And to those who speak about these things, of course, they're known as what? Conspiracy theorists. That'll never happen. All right? But it's speeding up. And if there's anything you should know this of a surety, that the men of Yahweh Shai who are talking about and teaching and speaking and breaking down these prophecies are the men you should be listening to. All right? So with that, I'm going to say shalom.